Back. Some resolutions coming up close, please.
That council moves into open session at 1:24 p.m.
Move it, please. Council Goya, Council Lewis. All in favor? Carried. Another one?
That council receives the following reports for information: confidential report regarding personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees related to human resource matter. Confidential report regarding proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board related to a potential acquisition or disposition. Confidential report regarding proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board related to a township road allowance. Confidential report regarding advice that is subject to the solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, related to a regulatory bylaw. Confidential minutes from the previous closed sessions for March 4th, 2026, closed council meeting minutes, and March 13th, 2026, closed council meeting minutes. And the confidential report regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting municipality or local board related to planning act application and that staff proceed as directed.
All right. Mover, please. Councilor Hurst, Councilor Bailey, all in favor? Carried. Next, we're on the consent agenda. We'll get a mover to second to receive all those, please. There is no schools. Any items to be pulled out? I don't know if that's happened. No. All in favor?
The ones I had were captured in the Q and A.
Yep, great. Anybody watching from home can check out the Q&A. Zero delegation, public meeting, April 15th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Public information meeting held in person at the municipal office, 7404 Wellington Road 34. By electronic participation through Zoom regarding zoning bylaw amendment application D14 BAR Bardwell, 6759 Laird Road West. April 15th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Public information meeting held in person, municipal office, 7404 Wellington Road 34. By electronic participation in Zoom regarding community improvement plan. See some people out for that. Next is finance department. I believe Ms. Hassan, I don't have the report up. So I'll assume it's hers.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I'm just pulling the report as well. So this report is one of our legislative reporting requirements in accordance with the Municipal Act. It is regarding our lease financing agreements, no significant changes from previous years. I'd be happy to answer any questions from Council.
President, you have a recommendation?
That report FIM 2026-009 entitled 2025 lease financing agreement summary report be received. And the council accepts the treasurer's statement that all lease financing agreements are non-material and have been made in accordance with the township's lease financing agreement policy as outlined in Schedule B to report FIM 2026-009.
Mover, please. Councilor Lewis, Councilor Goya, questions for the Director of Finance? All in favor? That's carried. The next one is yours as well, Ms. Hassan.
Yes, so this again is another annual report required in accordance with the Municipal Act. I'd be happy to answer any of Council's questions. Similar to previous years, the township did not incur any temporary borrowing in 2025. But this report is in place in case the township would ever need to borrow on a temporary basis, as outlined in the report.
Good. Roasted.
That report FIM 2026-010 entitled temporary borrowing bylaw be received and the council give 3 readings to bylaw number 2026-012 being a bylaw authorizing external temporary borrowing of 1.5 million in 2026.
Mover, please. Ms. Bailey, Councilor Hurst, questions for the Director? All in favor? That's carried. All right. See you as well, Ms. Hassan.
Yes, so this is Yes, this is another annual report that's required in accordance with the Municipal Act. And again, no significant changes from previous years. However, I'd be happy to answer any of Council's questions.
That report FIM 2026-012 entitled remuneration expenses paid to council or to members of council and others 2025 be received for information.
Mover, please. Councilor Hurst, Councilor Lewis, questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Mrs. San.
Thank you.
All right, Madam CEO.
Yes, thank you. So this report is around the establishing and regulating bylaw. And this report's purpose is to bring further clarity to the amendments that were made to that bylaw on February 5th of this year. So the establishing and regulating bylaw was amended to reflect the actual services that are being provided by the township currently. The department had made changes in 2016 to reduce certain levels of service in accordance with what was feasible from a volunteer fire department perspective. And so this bylaw really just was an administrative function to bring those that service level into a policy document. So just for further clarity, the changes to the bylaw do not result in any changes to the service level in the community. Does not result in changes to how the fire department responds in emergency situations. All of our mutual aid agreements remain in place. Automatic aid as well as our fire protection service with the city of Cambridge, which remains in place for the western portion of the township. So again, this bylaw was really just to reflect the actual levels of service that we currently have and have continued since 2016, and is a policy based amendment to align what is actually happening in practice to what our ENR bylaw says. So again, we rely on the training certifications of our staff, the available resources when we respond to emergencies, in addition to those service agreements that we have with our partner municipalities and those agreements that typically exist across Ontario as well to support fire departments, particularly volunteer fire departments. So I'd be happy to answer any questions from council.
All right, Ms. Brotherson.
That report CAO 2026-004 entitled Establishing and Regulating Bylaw be received for information.
Give a moment, please. Mr. Hurst, Councilor Splulis. Any questions for the CEO? That one. If the public are hearing noise about the bylaw, I feel the best point for information is staff. Would you just prefer an email admin@pluslinch.ca or the general email inbox, and the staff can direct it to the appropriate, or where would be a great contact point for that?
Yeah,
If people
so-
have questions.
Through the chair, those questions coming to staff is always going to be the most accurate way to get information. So those types of general inquiries can be sent to our mailbox at admin@pluslinch.ca, and they'll be read.
Back, sorry, we're having connectivity issues here. Ms. White Fox, I was just asking the best contact point for inquiries. Am I jumping the gun here?
No,
No, okay, best contact point for if residents have questions around generally anything for the township regarding service levels, but since we're specifically talking about the fire department, what would be the best email contact point?
yes, so through the chair, again, it is best come to the township for the most accurate information, particularly if you have questions around service levels in any department, but in an emergency response department, it's important for you to come to the township and ask those questions. So it's admin@pluslinch.ca, and those inquiries will be redirected to the appropriate staff member from there. And we're always happy to receive those inquiries and respond, usually within a business day.
Thank you. All right, so sorry, Ms. Brothers, did I have a mover seconder already on that?
Yes.
I did. Okay, any further questions? All in favor? That's carried. Madam CAO, strategic plan.
Yes, so thank you. This is potentially the final iteration of the strategic plan document. So we've incorporated comments from council at the last meeting into the draft. So we are on time with our goal of completing this plan, having it adopted by March 2026. The information in the report just talks about where we started and where we are now. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That report CAO 2026-005 entitled Final 2026-2030 Township Strategic Plan be received for information and the council approved the 2026 to 2030 Township Strategic Plan as presented in second.
Your move, please. Let's go ahead, Councilor Bailey. Questions?
I just have one question. As we know, looking back at things, we may have a plan in place, but legislative changes that come from the top down tend to kind of impact what our planning is. So I guess when the strategic plan or in the process of designing the strategic plan, a lot of assumptions are made about the legislation staying as is. But is there anything kind of built in place, or is there any thinking if some legislation comes down? Like, I mean, we've already seen stuff with the conservation authorities that's could impact things. How does that work for kind of the timeline of completing things in the plan? Is there flexibility built into that somewhere?
So through the chair, in general, we like to have capacity.
We're back. We're going to continue to hope that our Zoom connection remains stable. Sorry, who was speaking?
Yeah.
Madam CEO?
Yes, so again, through the chair, and the question was around how do we adapt to changes in legislation when we're looking at the strategic plan initiatives and the timelines. And so every year there is hopefully capacity built in based on the number of corporate work plan items that we have to be able to analyze and assess new legislative changes if they come down from the province or the federal government. In addition, as we start projects, we're continuously looking at what the legislation is, what the authority is, in making those changes to projects as they come. So again, it is sort of that unknown, but we look at it when we are working through each project, and we hope that we allow ourselves the amount of space in terms of capacity to address those changes.
Great. Okay. And I know other than capacity, also the financial component can change as well, depending what's being downloaded to the municipality. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Madam Clerk, I don't remember if we did that before it crashed. Did we get a mover and a seconder? Yes, we did. Any further questions? All in favor?
Okay.
Corporate services. Oh, that's right. Let's do some. Oh, no, I just put my hand in. Gotcha. All right, do we have the annual aggregate monitoring report?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to provide council with the 2024-2025 aggregate monitoring reports. This report will be brought back reiteratively as annual monitoring reports are received. So attached to this report are comments from the township's peer reviewer for council's consideration, and staff are seeking direction to send these peer review comments to the pit operator and the MNR. And then just further through the council questions and staff responses, staff have amended the recommendation based on those questions.
And do you mind reading that recommendation, please?
Absolutely. That report, COR 2026-013, entitled 2024 and 2025 annual aggregate monitoring reports be received for information. And that council directs staff to provide the township peer review comments to applicable conservation authorities, the pit operator, and the Ministry of Natural Resources for response. And that council directs staff to provide the concern identified by the township's hydrogeologist regarding the impacts of westward expansion of pit license 5609 on the groundwater levels east of the pit to the GRCA and the township's planning consultant for comment, and that any concerns identified be forwarded to the pit operator and MNR for response.
May I move it, please? Mr. Spools, Councillor Hurst, any questions or comments? Councillor Spools?
The consultant recommended removal of WP 1-93 and our hydrogeologist does not agree with that. Can that be captured as well?
So they
Okay, all in favor? It's carried. 942.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this report is to seek authorization from council to proceed with stopping up and closing and declaring surplus a portion of an unopened road allowance that's adjacent to Lake Ave. Further, staff are seeking direction to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale for the closed portion of the road allowance as stop up, close, and declare surplus a portion of Lake Ave road allowance received for information, and that council authorize staff to proceed to stop up, close, and declare surplus part 1 of Lake Ave road allowance as described in our plan 61R-23192, and that council give 3 readings to bylaw 2026-010, being a bylaw to stop up, close, and declare surplus a part of the Lake Ave road allowance, and that council deem the portion of the road allowance surplus to the needs of the township with the intention of disposal of part of the road allowance, and that council give 3 readings to bylaw 2026-011, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into a purchase and sale agreement for the sale of a portion of an unopened road allowance and to enter into an encroachment agreement for 6 Lake Ave.
Well, that was a lot, eh? All right, Hoover, please. Councillor Hurst, Councillor Goida, thank you. Any questions? All right, okay. Oh, well,
Just, this was a very unique circumstance, so just thanks to staff for shepherding it. I think it was a good learning experience for any of these type of scenarios that come up in the future, so just to call it.
yeah, I would also say it's a learning experience for the landowner too. It's there's a process and it can be challenging, but I'm glad to see that we got to an agreement with it. So that's excellent. Thanks, staff and the homeowner. Great, all in favor? It's carried. Both works, nothing. Turn 10.2. Just to receive that for information, or are you gonna speak to that?
Through Mr. Chair, so staff have updated the recommendation for this notice of an application for permit to take water. So the recommendation is that corresponds item 10.2 Business Lake Golf Course permit to take water application be received for information, and that council directs staff to submit comments from the township's hydrogeologist and County of Wellington source water protection to the Ministry of Environment Conservation Parks for
Any questions or comments on that?
I would just comment that the addition of the cumulative impacts on all future
applications is a really good addition. So, good catch.
Great recommendations.
All in favor?
Yeah, well, hang on that note, so do we need more direction? I had wondered about including cumulative impacts on all water taking permits in the township, similar to what source water protection already does for did they do? I didn't record it in my notes, but
Yes, so the last section of that resolution that the clerk read says the council directs staff to incorporate the following standardized wording into all permit to take water comments.
okay, and what is the wording? Sorry. can you read that?
Given the number of large water takers and sensitive groundwater and wetland features within the township, that the MECP should consider the cumulative impacts of all major water takers within and surrounding Puss Lynch when considering permitting a permit to take water application.
Perfect, great, thank you.
All in favor? That's carried. Surrounding council reports, mayor's update.
Objection with it.
Oh, day.
10-3.
Oh, yeah, so it was a 10-3. Sorry, I scratched out the wrong one. Is that you, Madam CEO, or what is
So
it?
through you, Mr. Chair, this is to be received for information. So this is what has been submitted as it relates to the CDM South Lake Pit application. So this is part of the ARA objection process. And the comments have been compiled there from council as well as our peer reviewing team.
Great. Can I move over to second to receive that information? Councilor Goyda, Councilor Spills. Any questions, comments? Councilor Spills?
There's a question, what's the next process in this?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the tribunal, so the OLT, the tribunal has full discretion on the ARA applications. And I think what we would typically see is that they would sort of pause the processing of this application and run it currently with the Planning Act application, should it reach the OLT. But certainly our comments have said that we have not proceeded through the Planning Act side of this application yet, and we want the time to do that. So typically what you'll see is the ARA process will pause while we catch up with the Planning Act processes.
Councilors?
Maybe just to piggyback on Councilor Melissa's question, like, do you have any sense of timelines associated with this, Courtney? Like, are we talking month? Are we talking 6 months? Like,
So through you, Mr. Chair, I think there is going to be more field work required with the Lake Pit application, just based on our consultants' feedback at this time. I do foresee this application coming forward to council, to the public first, and then to council likely in 2026 for decision on the planning.
thank you.
Further? All in favor? Do I have any more second?
Yes.
Great. All right, mayor's update. TAPMO meeting, when did we have that Monday? It went well. Courtney and I have a few engagements. We have City of Burlington coming up. We have a township that the name escapes me up near Shelburne. And was there a third one? Burlington, we did Caledon and
Western Wardens Caucus, we also presented to.
anyways, we did that. Alyssa continues to work on the engagement part of stuff, which is great. I don't think we really have anything else. Nothing else really comes to mind at this particular moment. So that's it, just the Tamil stuff. Courtney and Justine are providing significant support and a lot of projects underway. And I don't know, what do you think? By August, maybe fall, we'll see a lot of that come to fruition, and I'm really excited for it.
Yes, and through you, Mr. Chair, maybe we have one other comment is the expression of interest for the few vacancies on TAPMO. So that's something that
Right.
is coming out soon just to fill those seats. So I think there's 3 vacancies.
So I'm just gonna move her a second to receive that, please. Mr. Hurst, Mr. Willis, all in favor? Anything with council members?
Just a question, Mr. Mayor, our executive director of that group,
So, through direction from the board on Monday, due to Alyssa coming on board, and we're developing some training videos that are gonna require a production company. The board agreed to pause the recruitment of the executive director. till the end of this term of council. And I believe staff will be working on, there might be some background work prior to, October, end of October. Essentially be ready to go to recruit new term of council, new iteration of the TAMO board, 4 years. They go, thus the money can be directed towards Alyssa and these training videos. That we're gonna make a portal on the website. Thank you. Any council member updates?
I just have, well, one was in our correspondence or in our consent, but as we all know, the conservation authorities are going to be changing to provinces as announced to 9 different regional conservation authorities. So it'll be interesting to see how that transition looks. And just of note, West Lynch will still remain within 2 conservation authorities. So anyway.
I don't think we'll have representation, literal representation on each one.
So that'll be a big change.
Well, at least the source water protection committee for the Grand River stays the same. They separated the east and west portions of southern of Lake Erie technically, so we stay the same.
East
Just
and west, yeah.
Okay.
And then just from the Conservation Halton board, we have a newsletter that comes out, so I'll just share a couple things, but it's maple syrup, it's sap season, so there's a lot of stuff going on at Mountsford Conservation Area and Crawford Lake with that. And the other thing of note for me was the Ways of the Woods camp, I think is open now for registration, so there's a lot of great kids camp opportunities over near Kelso and other conservation Halton parks this summer, so check them out.
Great. Anything else from members of council? Moving over to secondary to receive that. I suppose, Councilor Bailey, thank you. In favor? Carried. Bylaws.
That the following bylaws be taken as read 3 times and finally passed in open council. Bylaw 2026-021 being a bylaw to authorize the temporary borrowing of funds to meet current expenditures of the township of West Lynch fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026. Bylaw 2026-010 being a bylaw to stop up, close and declare surplus. Part 1 of our plan 61R-231, a road allowance between lots 5 and 6, concession 1, township of West Lynch, north of West Lynch Lake, concession of Little Lake, township of West Lynch. And bylaw 2026-011, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into purchase and sale agreement for the sale of a portion of an unused road allowance and to enter into an encroachment agreement for 6 Lake Avenue.
Give mover, please. Councilor Hurst, Councilor Schools. Questions? Favor? It's carried. Any announcements? Shoot.
The Whistle Stop Preschool Easter breakfast is this Saturday, and I haven't seen sold out, but there may still be tickets available for the breakfast. It's all pancakes.
Chocolate eggs.
It's at the community center on Saturday.
Great. Okay. Anything else? I don't know if this is announcements, but the rink was still open. Staff done a great job there. We survived a melt or two and haven't looked at the scheduling, but I know people are still using it, so it's getting pretty late in March, which is excellent.
This is the latest we've had it open, isn't it?
Let's get the results.
The weekend 1 year.
Was it 1 year?
Thanks, yeah, good job, thank you. All right, do we have any business arising from the closed session? Any notice of motion? So we just scare them. New business? Permitory bylaw, Ms. Brotherstein.
That the following bylaw be taken as read 3 times and finally passed in open council. Bylaw 2026-018 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for the corporation of the township of West Lynch at its meeting held on the 25th day of March 2026.
Councilor Rideout, Schools, in favor, carried. Adjournments.
That council hereby adjourns at 1:53 p.m.
Your please, Councilor Bailey, Councilor Coida, in favor. Carried. Everyone.
That would be a bit of a